Okay. Terri, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, over to you.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. It sounds like those who are in the face-to-face setting are having a fantastic time catching up after all these years of being virtual only. I am Terri Griffith. I am the president of ISSIP this year, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the first half Board of Directors and Progress Reporting call for ISSIP. And I'll say that the first 7 months I've had as president have highlighted how we all learn, build, and then share across our domains of service innovation and across all stages of our careers. And I believe that Michele is going to run the slides for me. So the first thing for us to do is to talk about transitions and a very important introduction. The year started out with some significant changes. Both brought great expansions to our network, but I'm happy to share that Yasi has joined the ISSIP Board of Directors and taken on the role of Executive Director of UC Santa Cruz's Human Computer Interaction Center. And it is through that great new connection that those who are face-to-face are able to be on the UC Santa Cruz campus right now. And as Yasi made her move, the executive committee of ISSIP launched a global search to try and find a new executive director. Yasi had been the founding director of ISSIP. And I'm very happy to say we had superb candidates, and I'm happy to introduce Michele Carroll as our new executive director. She's been with us, and those of you who are face-to-face, this is a hybrid meeting, and I'm rarely on the virtual side of a hybrid meeting, so it's a little bit odd for me here. But Michele comes with extensive experience in marketing, business development, and she had served as the past president and innovation chair of CSCMP, which is the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals. And I had met her there in the Silicon Valley Forum. And as we go to build out our institutional memberships, we are very much hoping that she's going to be able to be with us more than 1 day a week, which is the current role as we build out our institutional memberships and bring them back up to their full glory. And Michele is going to lead us through the rest of the program with various members of the executive committee coming online to help. So Michele, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Terri, and thanks for that introduction. And I do want to welcome those who are able to make time and be here with us in person today, as well as the many I see continuing to gather virtually. We really appreciate your engagement with ISSIP, which is what powers it for all of us. And it is a privilege to step into this role after the solid 10-year foundation built by Yasi Mogadam, host here today. To be able to work with so much of the founding leadership still actively engaged, and all of you to build and grow engagement in ISSIP over time now. We have and let's shift to it. We have a pretty jam-packed agenda for our single hour together here today, front-loaded with some things that we're going to be later because we have folks who have to dash off to the next thing in Silicon Valley. So we're going to, you'll see it's just 5-minute blocks, updates from each of the leaders of various focus areas and key activities of ISSIP, paths to engagement with ISSIP. So after Terri's welcome, my overview, we're going to shift to Jim Spora is going to actually present in person. 2 of our awardees are here in person and 1 virtually, the 2022 Service Excellence, the ISSIP Service Excellence Awards for impact to innovation, to business, and to society. So that's exciting. We get to do that here together. And then we'll have an update from the Strategy Council of Paul Mangala from IBM if he's able to patch in, and Terri is stepping in if not. And then Jim will walk through kind of a strategic state of the union on ISSIP events from the Discovery Summits, employee speaker series, some exciting publications coming up, and our general health as an organization. Jim and Terri will walk through conferences ISSIP is engaged in this year, and then Yasi and I will do a quick, I'll be sharing a bit about the vision for the digital platform on which ISSIP will build awareness and engagement going forward, and the state of the HCI capstone student project that is contributing to that digital platform development. And then Terri will wrap us up with discussion, Q&A, and call to action. And then those who can stay, there is lunch, and please do go ahead and grab whatever sandwich or salad you'd like at any point. And with that, let me turn it over to Jim for the Excellence Awards.
Thank you, Michele. So it's my pleasure to award the Excellence Awards, Excellence in Service Innovation Awards. For those who don't know ISSIP, as Michele said, ISSIP stands for the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals. For the last 3 years, we've had a Excellence in Service Innovation Award. And there's 3 categories for the award. There's innovation to innovation. That's kind of the biggest award, because if you can innovate innovation, you're really doing something amazing. Second is innovation to business, usually a corporation. And we also have a third category, which is innovation to society. And that's, leading to more global well-being, quality of life. So without further ado, I do want to just mention that Ralph Badinelli from Virginia Tech, he's been our awards chair, really has driven this in the whole process. Each of the candidates for this award, there's a whole checklist of things that they've got to achieve. Various people rate them on those categories. And so it's a pretty rigorous process that we have. And it's my pleasure to say that we do have an ISSIP blog post that lists all of the ones that receive distinguished recognition, but there's only top 3 that we'll be awarding right now. And the first award goes to Cisco Systems. And this is our Innovation to Innovation Cisco Systems Advanced Automation with Machine Reasoning for Impact Innovation 2022. Valerie, thank you very much. I would like to present you this award, and if I could get you to pose here, we'll get some nice pictures. Can I be in this as well? Yes. Yeah, and you get over here, Amar, and Michele, you got to get in here as well.
Yes.
Oh, you're going to take one more. Let's take several. We put these up on our blog, so more than merrier.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Very good. Thank you again. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Get to keep this. And I think Michele has a box for you as well somewhere that these go in.
I've got to ask you one more time, because now we have the logo.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Michele told me to change the slides. I forgot.
And just in case. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yep.
On behalf of the team.
All right. Yeah. I should mention the team got ISSIP badges. Everybody who contributed to it receives an ISSIP digital badge. So thank you again.
Thank you. And for everyone remotely, thank you. Thanks for the recognition.
All right.
Always on behalf of the team.
Always. And now I'd like to award the ISSIP Excellence in Service Innovation Award for Impact to Business 2022. This also goes to Cisco Customer Experience, CX, Business Critical Services, BCS, Design Insights. And here to receive it is Amar Ray. And Amar, I should say, Amar was our founding president of ISSIP and also on the board of directors. Congratulations, Amar. Thank you so much. You got it? It's washed out. Oh, well.
I got the pink one.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. And Our third award is for impact to society. And Laura Boconfuso, who's the CEO and founder of Van Robotics, they have built a system that helps learners. So imagine children trying to learn and they need a little social coaching from a little robot that's beside them. So I will receive this award on Laura's behalf and the team there at Van Robotics, and we'll make sure that this gets into them. So. We do have a tight schedule. I'll turn it back over to Michele. Thank you, Dollar Tree, for being here.
Thank you so much for being here. And congratulations.
Be here again with more innovation.
Hey, Ronald. Spoken like a true innovator. Very good. Oh, I have one more part of my responsibility is to Ralph Badinelli, who started our awards program for the Excellence in Service Innovation, has just retired from Virginia Tech. And so we wanted to really make a major shout out to Ralph. We're awarding him this Outstanding Volunteer and Contributor Certificate for his efforts at ISSIP. Ralph was also a founding board member. He was president of ISSIP in 2017. There's not a single program in ISSIP that Ralph hasn't had input on. He's really been a true exemplar leader. We wish Ralph the best in his retirement, and we'll make sure he gets this certificate. So thanks, Ralph.
Which takes us to a few words about the Strategy Council, key focus areas for this year. Terri? Oh, wait, you're muted, one sec. Ian? Not here.
There we go.
There we
So
go.
I will stand in for Utpal today. The strategy has a more formalized role than it had in the past. And beginning this year, there are 2 formal strategy council meetings. So Utpal led the one that was at the early stages of the year. And then Heather Yurko will lead the one that comes in our second half. But in that first session, the strategy council team pulled together all the ideas of the members in terms of what should be our focus for the year. And that's how we get to the future of expertise, is the strategy council went through a beautifully facilitated session. So a shout out there to Alice Pollard to be able to hone in on the things that were most critical to their membership, and they felt the entire membership of ISSIP. So now that we have that first Discovery Summit as our initial activity, our initial large activity, because of course we have cafes going on all the time. Now we're going to take another step, and the Strategy Council is going to give us feedback about how that met our goals and see if we want to make any adjustments as we go into that second Discovery Summit. I'm sure we'll be talking about that a little bit more. That's going to come along in September. And we look forward to seeing what the second half meeting leads for us, especially as we think about what we might be doing for 2023. So we'll have a little bit more of a head start this year. As I mentioned earlier, it was a year of a lot of transitions here at the beginning, and we think we're getting into a very nice rhythm with the Strategy Council being a key component of that. So back to you, Michele.
Thank you. And I realized that in my, this is the first time I've been at the head of this room as executive director, and I completely neglected to point out to you that these little blocks, I'm hoping you're becoming familiar with and see on our website, on the freshening ISSIP.org website. You can click on any one of these to learn more about what's currently happening or has recently in as far as paths to engagement. So each of our speakers is addressing a particular area. And Jim, we are way ahead on time, so you've got much more than your 5-hour block. Don't fit 5-minute block.
Right. Thank you, Michele. Yeah, and I got quite a bit I will cover here. ISSIP runs on volunteers, so we have a lot of when we have an event, for example, our Future of Expertise event that we had June 29th, we just completed that, 108 people registered for that. We had 2 panels of 8 speakers each from industry experts on the future of expertise. And that one has been completed. One of the speakers for that is from Brazil, Rogério Ribeiro. He studied with Terri, who's like one of the leaders in the study of expertise. He's actually going to be here on August 11th to do a Discovery Cafe with us on tacit knowledge management and the future of expertise. We do have the future of expertise too coming up on September 28th. Registration is now open for that. Just about all of these events get recorded and put up on our ISSIP website, on our ISSIP YouTube channel, linked to through our blog, linked to in our newsletter. We do have a weekly speaker series. We've begun to include book authors. ISSIP has a book series. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So every time there's a new book that comes out in the book series, we get the authors to give us an overview of their book. Peter Campo just created a book on what's called Emergence Strategy. It's rethinking strategy with complex adaptive systems in mind. It's a great book. Another author recently completed a book on fintech. We've got books coming out in the series, metaverse, augmented reality, virtual reality. I have a book coming out in the series later this year called Service in the AI Era. And IBM's chief economist, retired now, Mark Fleming, has a book coming out on breakthrough cycles of innovation, which I think is going to be a real high point for our book series this year. It's going to be presented at a number of meetings of economists around the country. Martin is a very well-known economist. We also have had our Excellence Awardees present. So if you're interested in van robotics and would like to see that little robot, here from Laura Boconfuso, she was one of our weekly speakers. So we have that out on our YouTube channel. And we're recruiting additional volunteers in the ISSIP Slack channel. If you're not a member of the ISSIP Slack channel, it's a great place to stay in touch with ISSIP. And we are recruiting some volunteers to help lead additional weekly speaker series. We have one volunteer who's very interested in the future of innovation and connecting the future of service innovation to the concept of progress. What is progress? So that should be an interesting series coming up. Awards received by members. We use Badger at ISSIP to give our digital badges. We have 9 badges. Of course, that'll grow over time. 350 badges have been awarded, and I expect we'll have more before the end of the year. For example, everyone who contributed as a panelist in our Discovery Summits, they all receive a Knowledge Sharing Eminence badge for their contribution. Of course, all of the Excellence Awardees receive digital badges as well, everybody on the team. The badges are good for ISSIP in several ways. One, it's a way to get recognized, but it's also, people can place them on their LinkedIn profile. So if you look at people's certifications, you often can see their ISSIP badge if they received it. We need to recruit a new lead for the Volunteer for the Excellence Award. So we're looking actively for that. So if folks have ideas, please, or would like to volunteer, even better. We do have upcoming conferences. In fact, there's an ISSIP sponsored conference going on right now called the Human Side of Service Engineering. In fact, my paper is probably being presented right now by my co-author, because I'm here. And the Human Side of Service Engineering has been going on for 10 years. It was actually by ISSIP 10 years ago. The first meeting was in San Francisco. This current meeting is in New York City. It's hybrid. We had fantastic presentations yesterday from all great stuff. And that's going on right now. And if you go out to the ISSIP blog, if you want to join any of the sessions, there's several coming up on smart service systems tomorrow from a group of German scholars. You can click on the 5 or 10 minutes before the session starts, just click on the name and it takes you to the GoToMeeting. And there's going to be tomorrow, there will be 5 best paper awards given out, and they'll all receive ISSIP digital badges and recognition on the ISSIP website. HICS is coming up. Terri is one of our leaders on the Hawaiian International Conference on System Sciences. Typically, there's 3 or 4 mini tracks that are associated with ISSIP, and again, we give out best paper awards and other awards. Coming up next February next year is the International Explorations of Service Science. That'll be in Geneva, probably a hybrid event as well. And again, we'll be giving out more best papers. There's additional conferences, but these are 3 we wanted to highlight. As I mentioned, the Business Expert Press, Haluk Demirkin, who's now at Amazon, he was a professor at University of Washington, Tacoma. He's on our board, one of the founding board members of ISSIP. Now he runs predictive analytics at Amazon. He and I started this book series quite a few years ago because we realized there's a lot of people in industry, especially, who want to write a book. I remember when Yasi was our executive director, she said, we were talking about what she wanted to get out of ISSIP. She said, you know, I've never written a book. And I said, well, you're going to write a book because we make it easy. We work together on a T-shaped book, and there's another book that's come out. So I guess you've done at least 2 now. Maybe you're working on a 3rd. I'm not sure.
Work in the age of AI.
But Peter Campo, he was at Dow. He was an executive leading strategy at Dow. A lot of people in industry have these blog posts, they have all these ideas, but they don't have a book that they can point to where they crystallize it. So we've made it easy with our book series. We've got over 51 books in our Service Systems and Innovation in Business and Society. And we also started recently a collaborative intelligence one, and 12 books published there. So 63 books published so far. And again, I've got a book coming out later this year, and Martin Fleming. I think we've got multiple ones in the pipeline. The one on the metaverse is very good because we try to come out with balanced books. So it's not just technology hype. It's not all pro technology is great. Technology is great. There's chapters in there that talk about the challenges, the obstacles, and what could go wrong. My book on AI has what can go wrong, as well as the good stuff. And last but not least, I'm also the treasurer of ISSIP. So just a little bit, we have, since the start of this year, our income has been about 62,000. Our expenses, 83,000. And most of this income was for an NSF project that Yasi was leading on looking at industry university collaboration about the future of skills. Our checking balance is just over 100,000. Our savings, which we call the ISSIP Foundation, is around 20,000. This grows a little bit every year. Eventually, we'll, the goal in the long term is to be able to operate ISSIP just as an endowment. Not there yet, but we're getting there. And with that, I think I'll check the next slide this time. I do have a couple more. This is our call for volunteers. Now, Terri Griffith is our amazing 2022 president. With Vancouver, you can see behind her there in her picture. And she was the ISSIP vice president in 2021. So we're about to open elections for our vice president for 2023. That person will be elected this year and serve as vice president in 2023. And the way we do it at ISSIP is the vice president gets a little experience, more visibility in the organization. The following year, they're the president. So self-nominations are welcome. We typically get between 3 to 5 candidates every year. Candidates that, and this is something that Yasi started, if you don't win, we often invite you to be on the strategy council. So, in some sense, no losers here. We really do try to make sure that people get a way to contribute to ISSIP. And we thank everybody very much. Paul Mangla is our current vice president at ISSIP. He'll be the president in 2023. Paul from IBM. We have an immediate need for a university industry collaboration leader. This is a really exciting project. There's a lot of universities out there that want to start service science, service system engineering programs. In fact, I'm co-planning with the National Academy of Engineering on October 5th this year, a special session at the National Academy. It'll be an online event focused on service systems engineering. And a lot of our industry partners want to have university students working on projects with them. I know, PK, you do that very, very well here at Santa Clara, having university industry collaborations. At ISSIP, because we have international companies, international research, international industry partners, we'd like to do more of that, and a volunteer is much needed to lead that. Also, as I mentioned, Ralph is retiring from Virginia Tech, so we need a new leader for the Excellence in Service Award program. You get a chance to work closely with Michele and myself and others in the ISSIP leadership team when you do these volunteer roles. And Amar is going to be helping, but I think you said if we get more authors for the white paper, that's a good thing. Yep. So we're also looking for additional authors to work on the white paper for the Future of Expertise 2 that's coming up. And one last slide, since I think I have time. I just want to do a shout out. ISSIP runs because of volunteers. I mean, if we don't have volunteers, nothing happens. So it's, well, I shouldn't say that. There would be stuff happening, but volunteers certainly drive a lot of the new initiatives. I want to congratulate Cecilia Lee. She recently got her PhD in service design in the United Kingdom. And now she works for a satellite company. She's the user experience guru at that company. And Cecilia is our ISSIP newsletter editor. Our newsletter comes out once a month. You can find it easily on the ISSIP website. Has a lot of interesting contact. She's been doing a fantastic interview series of all our ISSIP ambassadors. So our ISSIP ambassadors connect us to all kinds of organizations all over the world. And what Cecilia has started to do is make very short, sometimes 5, 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes I think one was 30 minutes. That's probably the longest interviews with these ambassadors. And they're all working on incredibly fascinating things, interesting people. So I urge you to take a look at that series. She's also done 2 blog posts with Paul Mangla, a VP on service design. Quick 2-minute reads, excellent points in those. So I recommend those as well. I also want to thank our ISSIP ambassador, Christine Ouyang from IBM, who I see is on the call. So Christine, if you want to wave, if you can hear me talking, I hope you can. There you go. Christine has stepped up. She's an ISSIP ambassador, but we have a leadership role to work with all of the ambassadors. There's over 50 of them to help them strengthen their contribution to ISSIP and the organizations that they're connected to. So thank you, Christine, for joining and helping to keep the ISSIP ambassadors engaged. I also want to give a shout out to Larry Heiner. He's our ISSIP ambassador at APQC, which is the Productivity and Quality Council in the US. They do all the benchmarking for business quality and productivity. Cindy Huber is the executive director there. Larry recruited her to be a panelist for our Future of Expertise 1 Discovery Summit. She gave a great presentation about knowledge management and thinking about knowledge management in the era of artificial intelligence. And really, this is a big, big theme. I'll take a minute just to do a little digression here, because say you're the best chess player in the world and a computer beats you. You're probably pretty upset the day it happens. But, and Gary Kasparov was, because that happened to him in 1997 because IBM built Deep Blue. But if you look at those chess players today, all of the top chess players are using artificial intelligence to improve their game. And this is the future of expertise. Even when there's a machine that can do something, a task, a part of your job better than you can still benefit if you have the right kind of approaches. So we've got experts. We're collecting more experts in industry and academia who study this. The presentation this morning from Japan was one about the role of experts in the AI era that was fascinating. Looking at how do we transition our expertise from just human expertise to human augmented AI expertise. Fascinating stuff. We'll have more on the Discovery Summit that's coming up on September 28th on that. But I really do want to give a shout out to Cindy because she discussed that in her talk. I want to thank, this is the general blanket one, but all of our event speakers, all of our book authors, congratulations to them all for earning badges. Also want to thank Christine Leitner, Clara Bassano, Walter Gantz from Fraunhofer in Germany, and Deb Satterfield for the great job they're doing right now. As I speak, they're running sessions on the Human Side of Service Engineering Conference, which is underway. Again, look at the blog if you want to join the sessions. Just click on the link. You can get into the GoToMeeting and see some fabulous talks like this one from Japan this morning on the role of experts in AI. And of course, the best papers will get ISSIP recognition. Finally, thanks to all the ISSIP volunteers who serve on our ISSIP leadership team. If you go to our ISSIP website, you can scroll down and see all of the different volunteer roles that we have in ISSIP where we have leaders. So I've covered a lot on these 3 slides. And I think the next one I get to sit down. So Michele, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim, and thank you. I don't know if everyone, even sitting here, if you could see the chats coming up, there's been great feedback and thanks to you for breaking that out and taking the time to acknowledge volunteers, because it really is true. That's how this organization runs, and especially while we have me just a day a week, supposedly, right? Definitely do day a week. Sorry, don't mean to imply otherwise. To the website/web, the digital web platform, right? The digital platform for ISSIP. We want to increasingly, we're viewing this as the single digital platform for maintaining, building, growing awareness of and engagement in all the activities that ISSIP, focuses on, prioritizes by current members, prospective members, and we're talking individual members and institutional members. So that the website is going to be the entrance to this digital platform for engagement with ISSIP in all those pathways. So my very brief update, and then we'll turn it over to Yassi to talk about the HCI capstone project. The vision for the platform is just that it would be a digital platform for engagement with ISSIP. And there's been front end and back end progress in the first half of this year. In the back end, Jim and Stephen Spora are making great progress automating, and I understand Yassi's just really irritated at the timing of it, but automating processes for putting out, creating the badging, the certifications, the registration for those weekly speaker series. It's every week, and it's all over the world in all the different time zones. And they've really made good progress at automating those processes for streamlined operations of ISSIP itself. And when there are changes to the 50+ ambassadorships, right, and partnerships and promotions that those ambassadors are leading with in the various partnerships. So that's progressing on the back end beautifully. And on the front end, we are leveraging, again, I came in April, and we're leveraging my kind of inside track to the Carroll co-marketing design team, web design team, to, as we can, update and freshen the look and update the content section by section as we go. And I just want to really point out, this should be viewed as very much ongoing, preliminary, while we await kind of the recommendations from the HCI capstone project for, developing a more facilitative digital platform for ISSIP operations. So my intention is to keep that front end more crisply identifying and articulating our value proposition section by section. You see it now on the home page. Membership coming up shortly, press releases coming out, regularly and with a broader communication strategy encompassed in a strategy. But we did have the HCI capstone project looking into what member needs are. And we're in the spring of this year. Let me just turn it over to Yassi to go ahead and give us an update on the project, which will feed, I want to say, hopefully, a website redesign with all of that in mind next year, 2023.
So, thank you, Michele, and I'm happy to update you on the ISSIP capstone project. So, as Michele said, I've always seen ISSIP itself as a platform for innovation. And I was so happy about the vision that you have, Michele, about ISSIP as a digital platform, because that's really in line with where we started and where the organization is going. So being responsible for the HCI program and having the capstone program in our program was the perfect fit for a collaboration, and being very passionate about university industry collaboration. This was a perfect fit to bring our students to the ISSIP digital platform, and really asking them to come up with the UX design, whether it is the website or a mobile app. It was really up to them to recommend. So we started with a website, and hopefully down the road, our goal is to transform that to mobile app. And so the process is that the students do research on users, existing users. So many of you have been interviewed as the students learn what is the current experience of the users. And then the next quarter, this happened in the past quarter. The next quarter, they're going to actually do some prototyping, and at the end of the quarter, really come up with design ideas for the website and in general for how for users to engage better, for members to engage better, which is really the ultimate goal of the digital platform. So, and Jim actually on the ISSIP slide has been leading that. So I don't know if Jim wants to say a couple of words, but
I'll just say that the quality of the students that you have here is outstanding, really outstanding. Very impressed with the two students working with us, and I got invited to hear the interim progress report of all the student teams that were going, and you know, I don't think you're going to have any trouble. They will have no trouble finding a job after their great stuff, and there was a lot of praise for them, and so great work. Thanks.
thank you so much. So thanks for ISSIP for participating in this program with us.
Thank you, Yassi.
Great opportunity. Go banana slugs.
Terri, that brings us to you.
Wonderful. Now I get the best part, and I've been thankful to be seeing some of the ideas coming through in the chat on the Zoom. What I think I'd like to do now, given this is a hybrid session, is please take a look at this slide and note any details you want to take in your notes. So for example, the URL for the membership, if you want to be sharing that with someone, and especially new career students, new career people, love having them as members and helping them grow their careers throughout ISSIP. Taking down Michele's email in case you want to be in touch regarding volunteer opportunities. And then after that, I'm going to ask Michele that you drop the screen share, because those of us online really can't see what's going on in the room because you're just this tiny little image when the screen share is up. Thank you so much. So one of the things we really wanted to do in this session was to make sure that we left time for discussion and for new ideas to come in. But before I dive into that aspect, I want to offer an apology and a correction. So Heather Yurko had been saying, really, I'm co-chairing strategy council in the chat. And I went, oh my goodness, I have miscredited. So I did not do RuPaul's job very well when I was talking about strategy council. Deb Stokes is the fantastic co-chair. And the idea there is that the co-chairs, somewhat similar to vice president and president, will take on, either the first part of the year, the second part of the year, and then hopefully rotate through as we go along. So Deb very thankfully has been supporting Strategy Council and will be especially supporting it as it looks to 2023. And then I hope then into the first part of 2023 as well. So thank you, Deb. Apologies for that. And also apologies to Heather for terrifying her that she'd been named a co-chair of something without any discussion. But as we sit here and we have the time to hear from folks, you know about our focus on the future of expertise. We have our September large event, a discovery summit, and Michele is leading that and has just been finding us some amazing speakers and really thinking hard about what the right modality is. And I want to raise a couple issues that I've noticed over the year, and then I want to open it up both to the people who are face-to-face at UC Santa Cruz, and then also the folks who are online. And you can just, unmute, raise your hand, put it in the chat, whatever works for you. And then the only thing I'll ask is that when people aren't standing right by the mic in the events center, I'm having a hard time hearing, so maybe we can manage the audio there just a little bit. I don't know if that mic roves or not, but I'll put out the first discussion point, and that is early career, both students, and we've talked a little bit about how students can start to engage in this industry university collaborations. And I was very thankful to see in the chat both Deb and Yossi sort of talking about that as being something that interested them. And I hope that they will be able to do even more for ISSIP in that angle. But I suspect many of the others in the room are also interested in the industry university collaborations. So we'll find a way to get all of you together. Starting point, generally speaking, is that address to Michele, so michele@issip.org, or feel free to contact me directly. But the other aspect around early career is, as I looked at the Discovery Summit, by the end of it, this was a 3-hour event, and by the end of it, it seemed that it was mostly the most senior members of ISSIP who were still there at the end of the 3 hours. And I've had the chance to have some conversations both with people on the industry side and then on the university side. And what we may be doing is parsing our longer sessions into 2 pieces where people whose schedules just simply do not allow them to offer up 3 hours of their day will know exactly when they want to come in to that session and still be able to participate and have good discussion, so that we don't leave all the discussion to the end when other people have had to drop off. But also the fact that I didn't see any early career members, I don't think, throughout the session. And I certainly try and step back and remember the life of an early career person, and would they have been able to put that time aside to join in. But if we could think harder about how to each one of us bring in one new early career ISSIP member, maybe that's a strategy, and then their voices will tell us what they need to have. So I'm just going to, in this part of brainstorming about other things we could be thinking about, put that one on the table, is how do we engage and provide even greater value to our early career members? How do we find them? How do we give them value? And let me look here. I'm looking at the chat. I'm not seeing anything there. I'm looking for hands up or people speaking out who are online. And then Michele, I'll ask you to manage the event center if people are having thoughts to raise.
got a quick thought. You know,
Do you want to stay here to-
can you hear me well now, Terri, or?
That point, yes.
Okay, because I think there's a microphone here as well. So on this Human Side of Service Engineering conference that's going on, there were a lot of young faculty that were presenting. And of course, I was thinking, I did put up the volunteer role that we're looking for in the conference chat. And Deb Satterfield, who's pretty senior, she had some ideas about early career faculty that she might be able to mentor. She also does, like what you do, Yasi. She has her students work with industry teams. So she seemed keen to help us. And also a lot of the early career faculty that were presenting, you know, we should encourage them to maybe make a presentation and start recruiting them. So that's one idea. When we have speakers at the conferences who are really impressed with, maybe we could try to recruit them into the role.
Yeah, in picking up on that, actually, on the early career side, I think we need to also be clear about whether we're talking about early academic career or early industry career. And I think the value that we provide to the two different groups might be different. You know, certainly looking at our students now, the number one thing on their, when they enter the program, the number one thing on their mind is internship. And really the capstone projects, industry capstone projects, is our way of creating a pipeline for them. Then, you know, our second years that graduate actually end of December, what's on their mind is jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so anything that we can do to really facilitate that pipeline is, in my view, value. But I think from an ISSIP's point of view, we just need to be clear. I think when I look at ISSIP today, I would say the low-hanging fruit is the early academic career.
Okay.
So.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. Thanks, Yasi.
Sure.
Other thoughts?
Yeah, and certainly take us in a new direction. I'm getting our notes. So I have that already documented about early career, both industry and academics. Other things that people have seen work effectively at other organizations, things that they would get value out of ISSIP doing, things that they don't get value out of ISSIP doing. What can you share?
You know, let me, PK here. Just, I want to say that I've been a volunteer.
Stand by.
Okay.
PK sounds great.
Oh,
This
fantastic.
is the right way. You know, so I've been very much involved from the beginning, and I have to say this, that every time I go to ISSIP event, I learn something new. I mean, the Discovery Summit, especially that it brings the thought leaders, and I mean global thought leaders. You know, we all read a lot of stuff and we watch a lot of stuff. And, you know, it's just this, they're so powerful. So I think, you know, I really feel that how we have historically taken that thought leadership and come up with the white papers and everything. I mean, to me, that's you know, it might look like a legacy product in the sense that it's not new, but it's evergreen. I mean, it's always something, you know, and I think we should really, and I don't think there's that many organizations that sort of take that particular vantage point to say, we're going to bring some really smart people and educate even the smart people, you know, that's sort of, anyway, so that's just my sort of thinking.
It is evergreen, and the opportunity is in the spreading that word and getting
Yeah,
it
right, yeah.
out. So that's more low-hanging fruit.
I want to build on what PK actually said, which is maybe we need to reconsider or you know, I say reconsider for now, the format of Discovery Summits from more of a, what traditionally has been, to more of a hackathon type of event where thought leadership, but engagement of students as well. You know, historically, we have some opportunities for students, but where, you know, we need to think about that, but some way to engage students through our Discovery Summits and the thought leadership that some of our members offer.
So one bit of kind of data to go along with what you're both saying is, so we had 108 people register for the last Discovery Summit on the future of expertise. I would say around 40 of them were very explicit that they had schedule conflicts and were not going to be on the online event, but they absolutely wanted the recording and the white paper sent to them. And one of the professors who has multiple early career students, you know, graduate students, said she found the white paper outstanding, and she planned to start doing some research and start publishing in this area. So that was pretty high praise, I think, from this one faculty at least. And to your point, maybe we should invite that faculty to be part of some sort of more like a think tank sort of thing that we do, that we also maybe bring in some of the students as well to try to you know, distill it in a format that's good. And I think ISSIP's unique because we do the industry university government thing, right? So it's not just like some are just targeting industry, some are just targeting university. We really try to, I think, be more like DARPA, if I could say it, where we try to take something that's actionable and do research that is tied to a specific challenge. Lately, it's been future of work expertise, but it's tied to some specific challenge. So
Jim, let me break in. I know Ralph from Blue Cross has his hand up.
oh, hey, Ralph.
Yeah, thank you.
Great keynote, by the way, for HSSE. Thank you so much. Your video was really inspiring. So thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with where you all are going. Is it feels like there's definitely something between the, you know, the fact that you facilitate that industry, or we facilitate that industry academic bridge, and I love the emphasis on writing, putting your thoughts down and helping people facilitate that. You know, a couple of themes that we see here. One is there definitely does seem to be a rethinking of people's relationship with work, and that's happening across. We've seen it happen with the sandwich generation, where they're caring for aging parents and they're caring for children at the same time. And over the past couple of years, where you had dual wage earners, a number of them have opted to go to a single wage earner family so that the other person can deal with the sandwich pressures of dealing with aging parents as well as raising children. That's one example, but I also think that we saw quite a big response last year in, you know, younger generations getting involved in sort of, I guess I'll call it metaverse related things, themes, NFTs, things that promise to somehow offer another way to gain some kind of income, perhaps, or financial base of some sort. A lot of that was overhyped, obviously, but it does feel like there's a restlessness to find a better way to relate to work and employers. And I wonder if that can be tapped from a healthcare perspective. A big concern we have is what I would call the caring economy has been, you know, overlooked, neglected, and it's a very important aspect of how communities become healthier and wealthier. And yet it has been completely undervalued and overlooked in 20th century capitalism, I guess you'd say. And so, you know, if in the 20th century, caring work was neglected in favor of, you know, sort of industrial profit making and that sort of thing. And you know, the worry is in the 21st century, will caring work get neglected in favor of addictive metaversing or whatever, right? And is there something we could start to inspire in students and those who are thinking about their careers in the workforce that would say, look, you've got those, if you know, as you, the younger generation, are more interested in these kind of gamification aspects of things, right? Which gives you the power to create rewards and meaning, you know, put meaning into activities that could be vitally important, or they could be completely worthless, right? And you could do a lot with that power. And I wonder if that's something, is that a theme where we want to say, look, we're looking for people who want to do white papers and experiments, hackathon participations that actually would start to explore some of these themes, and we create some themes to say, what's the future of work look like? And given where decentralized technologies are going and where the economy is transitioning and all these things, put all that stuff together and tell us what you think that means for you and your future, you know, and let us help you, and we'll add our thoughts to that as well. I don't know if that's, I think you've really started a really important conversation here. So just wanted to share a couple of thoughts along those lines.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, and I see Annie's hand is up.
Yes, you know, I think that's a really interesting thing, because we, you know, as we're talking about, the people who are staying for 3 hours at the event are the people who are the most seasoned of us, for instance. And so when we're talking about this tokenization, you know, the digital economies, creator economies, the fracture of trust in not only, you know, higher education, financial institutions, but brands, companies, just there are so many different aspects of this that are happening, and we use the terms metaverse and we use the terms Web3 and decentralization. But what happens is there's even, like, if we have to almost go, those are like it's almost like the technologies that are enabling what is happening. There's something else that's happening that I think students won't necessarily realize, that decentralization is the future. They will have perspectives on who they trust, right? So when we're talking about expertise, how do they trust? Who do they trust? When they talk about the future of work, what does work look like? We don't necessarily use terms like hybrid work or, so it just, when I hear you and I hear you talking, Ralph, I really want to think about, if we do that with students, it's almost like we must cleanse ourselves from the academic or even corporate or even industry knowledge and verbiage that we use, that I use all the time, so that we can figure out, like, the deeper nuance that we could get from students is them telling us what we don't know. So it's almost like, what is decentralization? What is it delivering? It's built on trust. You know, what is the digital economy? It's a connected digital currency that is part of the spatial embodied internet. Anyway, I'm saying that out loud just because I think that it's figuring out how to talk to students. Maybe they can help us figure out what we should ask students about.
Thanks, Annie.
I'm taking notes and looking for my mute button all at the same time. So I want to be very aware of the time. I'm seeing some great notes in the chat, so I want to make sure that that gets saved for us. But I see people are having to drop off right at the hour. So let me go into my thank yous and say to the group in the event center at UC Santa Cruz, thank you so much for being there face to face. I hope you get immense value out of it and have a great conversation with us. Hopefully our ears will be burning as you're talking about all of this. And please do remember to shoot either Michele or me an email about ideas that you have after we did the call, or volunteer opportunities that seem to resonate the most with the value you would get from ISSIP. So with that, I'm going to sign off of the Zoom, and I'm going to wish my colleagues at the event center to have a very nice lunch. Cheers to everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Terri. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to all.
Thanks
for
to all.
participating. They
Thank
are- We're gonna end the Zoom.
All right. Thank you. I'll make sure we save the chat